Oh, but the mic is probably, you can't hear the music. I'm actually playing music too.
Oh, there you go. Oh, good. Good work. Oh, here, I got the music.
And we're live.
Yeah.
Another stellar intro.
Yeah. We kill it. Crushing the game.
I like that every week we just get a little bit better somehow.
Just a little bit.
That's a good goal in life. Small weekly increments is the name of the game.
It's the consistency and inconsistency that I love.
Oh, sure.
It goes with our sloth views.
It's the charm of just life. I don't know. Ralph hasn't said anything yet all morning.
Yeah.
I'm taking I just think the best I had was
and that was
Ralph, are you on the toilet?
no, I would not do that. I may not be wearing a shirt, but I wouldn't appear on the toilet. I respect our platform.
That's class, buddy. That's class.
Yeah.
world class.
I'm
only looking down to tell everybody that we're going live. Want to share that with everybody?
Yeah, we have no guests today, but if anybody's watching, we're hoping to bring some on, talk with people, hang out with our friends.
Yeah. We could do this by ourselves, but I think it's just more fun to do it with other people.
Sean says it so much better than I do all the time.
He said it with he's cockiness too. He's like, we could do this by ourselves.
Yeah.
But it's fun with you people. I like it. There's a salesmanship, but I like the swagger. The swagger is nice. I will tell you guys, I think I told you this, Sean, but
what's that?
Go ahead.
What's that?
I was just going to say, because you're wearing that Mets hat.
Yeah.
You know, when I lived out in California for a while, and if I saw somebody wearing a Yankees hat, it didn't matter. You know, it didn't mean that they were from New York. But but if I saw a Mets hat, I totally assumed I knew they were a Mets fan. I mean, I knew they were from New York.
Yeah.
Where you from in New York? You know, I could say like they were always from New York. And this is how stupid I am. It's like a year, you know, like the new year when you keep writing the wrong date on a check. I mean, it doesn't happen much anymore, but I moved back to New York, and literally that week I just bumped into somebody. But I mean, I'm in New York and somebody wore a Mets hat, and I was like, "Oh, where are you from in New York?" He's like, I'm from right here. Yeah. It's like, oh yeah, I'm in New York again.
It's a nice question, though.
It is.
It's a nice question to ask. You know.
Yeah.
I'm trying to be present. I'm just posting on Facebook, letting people know we want them to come on.
I was worried that Ralph. I was worried that JQ asked you if you were on the toilet, and you said no, but then you turned off your camera because you immediately realized that
You what?
You were on the toilet.
Oh, is my camera off? Oh, I thought.
Oh, that's great.
Because I'm just, I don't know. I'm really do the show
and subtly moves to the next room.
Yeah, I really do the show on my phone, so I don't know.
Your camera's off.
Is it still off?
No.
Oh, I don't know how to do it on here. The Wi-Fi isn't working in my sister's place, so I'm on the 5G.
No, it's on now. But I will say, I don't know if it is for everybody else, but you seem like, I feel like I might be lagging. Am I lagging?
I mean, the true response is for the people watching. You know what I mean? Because they're seeing what everybody's seeing. You know what I mean? But you're not lagging for me.
Oh, good. Well, I was about to say that Ralph sounded a little wonky to me, but right as I said that, Sean's face was frozen. So I was like, oh, and now Jason's face, it might be me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Jason has.
I'll just sit here and smile. Go ahead.
Jason has some sloth updates for Ralph.
Oh yeah, I do. So I was right before I came on. I was watching this. NPR has these like 12-minute like TED Talk clips. So I was listening to one about sloths. It was about this woman. I think her name's like Kelly Cook or something like that. Who's like this researcher, but she was going over why like sloths, like the secret to sloths like survival is their evolutionary leisurely pace. They if they're injured, like if they lost both their arms in a car accident, they would be able to survive that because of their low metabolism. Their metabolism is like so slow, and what else? I think they said that
it sounds like it's strong, not maybe we should call it strong instead of slow.
Oh, maybe strong. It also takes what is it, a month for it to digest one leaf.
What?
Yeah.
That's
That's due because of all the toxins that are in like leaves, the leaves that it eats and everything. Like, so a slow digestive tract will help get rid of all that shit. And the only thing it does fast is have sex. It only takes like a second for it to like get the job done.
Whoa!
But are the movements fast? Is it just the duration is slow? Or
I didn't see any video. It was an audio clip, so I would have loved. We should see if we can find video of sloths in coitus.
I don't know if I want that on my permanent record.
Yeah. Well, you can if we look it up, Lex.
Sloths in coitus.
Lex, if we look it up, you could just turn off your camera while we play
That's a good. I feel like that's a good 2010s that wave of emo music, emo rock music. That would have been a good band name.
Sloths in coitus. Yeah, that's good.
Contemporaries with like disco, Panic at the Disco. I saw Sloths in Coitus open for brand new.
It sounds like a side project from members of various other bands coming together. It's
like Temple of the Dog.
Right. So yeah, I'm working on this new thing. It's sloths and coitus. It's just me and a bunch of other musicians. Something to do.
If you want to come in and just lay a beat or something like that, just play a little.
Yeah,
a little beat. Just see what we come up with.
We might do some tour dates just on the East Coast, just like 5 cities.
Hey, I've been wondering while I've been smoking over the last couple of days.
Yeah,
I've been wondering with the.
It's been 12 months, Jay. It's been 12 months.
Oh yeah, I have.
No, I'm joking.
You know how we're New York is like poised, like they're saying we're within weeks of like marijuana being legalized and everything like that.
Right.
So I've been reading that how Cuomo is going to have like let these cannabis lounges open up and everything, like coffee bars basically open up. What do you think the name of the first like legal cannabis lounge will be in New York? Any guesses, anybody? I don't know. I'm just asking.
Big Yellow Taxis.
What was that?
Baby Love Taxi. That's good.
Big Yellow
Baby Loves Taxis. Oh, Big Yellow Taxi.
Yeah.
I thought you said Baby Loves Taxes, because that's exactly what the government's.
Oh yeah, that is a good.
Sucks that the mistake, the thing I didn't say that you heard by mistake is way better than what I actually proposed. Baby Loves Taxes. That's really good.
Improv.
Shit. We should maybe buy that domain name.
Ooh.
Baby Loves Taxes.
Baby Loves Taxes.
Yeah. I also thought you heard me say Baby Loves Texas because I'm in Texas. Why am I in Texas? No, I'm not in San Antonio.
I would think
Sad Antonio.
Is there an Empire State pun that would go well with marijuana, with cannabis? Empire State, I'm thinking Big Apple.
Oh,
Maybe. Well, that would be a good logo. Is an apple pipe. If you make
Big
an
apple
apple pipe,
bomb.
Oh,
Big apple pipe. Yeah.
big
I
apple
was just
bong.
thinking the same thing, Lex. But I was thinking having like the Empire State Building as a bong, like and like you ripping
That's a good
bongs on
one.
the
I would change all the smokestacks to pipes. That would be a good marketing move. All the
Maybe
pollution just looks like bongs.
maybe it's Boss Tweed dressed as a Buddha.
Ooh.
Oh, old school New York.
Boss weed.
Oh yeah, geez, I didn't even think of that.
Boss weed.
But
There you
it could
go.
be bossed weed.
Just really go for it.
And it's an angry person looking down at people, telling them to smoke.
Smoke more weed.
Yeah, like being
You
bullied.
damn rugrats.
BZ Douglas just commented that we're all in the same multiverse, which is true.
What do you guys think about that? Like, what version of a multiverse do you guys consider? I mean, there's multiple multiverses, which is probably the definition of multiverse. But the idea, like one time I heard, no matter what, we'd be considered in a multiverse because the universe that we'll ever be, that we're a part of right now, there's other universes outside of that, just physically, right? The known space that we can ever even imagine, but we're moving apart from all these other, because we're moving apart and it's going faster and faster. There's parts of the universe that will just never be part of our universe.
Oh, all right. I think it also means that we all individually have our own take on reality, so we're all living in a different
Multiverse.
We all look at reality different ways.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And if I am in more than one multiple universe, I can guarantee you I'm actually getting life like really good in one of them. So that makes me happy.
The version that Sean was just saying, I think that's the most attainable one to live in, right?
Yeah.
He's just considering that. And I think that helps everybody be a little empathetic, which I always love. But I also like the idea that every choice I make, I also made the opposite choice. And
that's what I'm saying.
Things have happened,
right?
and things have happened ridiculously in my life.
Sure.
Or actually, I'm normal. I'm back in New York, Long Island, selling insurance like a big dumb fuck.
Dude, what if you were the version, like you were the version of the multiverse where you're actually getting everything right in life?
Boy, I hope not. No, but I learned from my mistake. That's another thing. Like you learn from your mistakes. So if everything went right, I'd be a real dummy. Right now, I'm barely an idiot.
Yeah. What have you learned? Nothing. Yeah.
I can't.
Not much more than an idiot.
I can't wrap my mind around. Whenever I try to think about like parallel universes or multiverses, or I feel like a puppy trying to drag an ocean liner into my cage. I have I couldn't even begin to wrap my mind. You ever, what's that sensation you feel when you try to imagine the size of the universe?
Oh yeah, that kills me. You feel so small, dude.
I bet you the Germans have a word for it.
Yeah, seems like something they would have a word for.
Like Arfin Smolin.
It's like because no matter what you think, your brain, your imagination doesn't have the scale to envelop that thought, to even hold that thought.
Yeah,
it's literally incomprehensible, right?
I disagree.
Go on.
Here's what you can do. Think of like imagine a circle.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's the universe. All right.
Yeah.
And it is huge. It's big.
Yeah.
Then just put another circle around it.
Oh shit.
You can think bigger.
Yeah, but then what if I want to put a ring around that?
That's the thing. There is.
Oh,
There's
shit.
always something bigger.
I didn't think about that. Yeah, that's all right.
One of my favorite things.
I just stopped at.
I didn't watch.
I just stopped at one bigger. I didn't know more bigger.
Yeah. One of my favorite things. I didn't watch the whole series, but the Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt had that line. You could do anything for another 10 seconds, and she would do things for hours based off of that. You know,
right.
by going, you could. It's a good life lesson, though.
Yeah.
Really.
That was a brilliant premise of a TV show.
Yeah.
Like seeing somebody who you know lived through a traumatic event, but then you see them like moving on from the traumatic event. It's like, I don't know, it's like an insane premise for a show.
And I feel like I met that lady once or twice at the old pit.
She was I performed with her at UCB. Why can't I think of her name though? It's the second
Ellie
time
Kemper?
this week. Yeah.
Ellie Kemper.
Kemper.
I feel like there was a moment where, and I still see memes and gifs about it, I guess. But there's a moment where I was hearing that show talked about all the time, and I don't hear about it anymore. I only saw 1 or 2 episodes. I did like them.
Mm-hmm.
I had a very similar, well, only based off of the Jehovah's Witness and leaving that. I had a similar idea, but it was more movie. I never thought about it as a television show, and hers was much more lighthearted. But I do think with the advent of the internet and more people being able to understand how different cults are like function, then they start realizing that that's exactly the organization that they're in. A lot more people are getting out, and not just like Jehovah's Witnesses, but just every kind of cult, right? Scientology is going through some wacky shit, and it's a good market. There's a market for that. There's now a market for ex-cult people.
Nietzsche.
Niche that shit up.
How many cults are there?
A lot.
Five.
How many? Yeah, see, that's a lot. Think of 5 and then put 1 more on that, and then just keep and then
Maybe
Throw a
there's
circle around it.
maybe there's just one cult, but all of them are secretly together.
Ah,
mm-hmm.
Maybe.
Mm-hmm.
The globalists.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like it.
Did any of you guys ever?
If I turned up dead tomorrow, that was true. But I just
Don't say
And
it.
I hope you learn. I hope you don't have to learn from this mistake.
Yeah, right.
So
what were we gonna ask, Ralph?
Jay? What?
You were gonna ask a question.
Jay, were you part of this cult as well?
yeah. I think I had a different experience than Lex, and I left for different reasons. But yeah,
Jason just got lost. We're still waiting for him.
He just never came back.
Yeah, Cinnabon.
Well, what would you say, Jay? You didn't buy it hook, line, and sinker like I did, right?
Yeah.
And you guys went in as adults?
I was never as gung ho.
No, I was born into it. Jay, you were born into it?
No. Yeah.
But our parents made us no matter what.
No, I wasn't. So.
Yeah, so you had birthdays before you were Jehovah's Witness? Do you remember any birthdays?
Yeah, but I was too young. I was only like 2, 3 when my parents became them. Yeah. So.
Yeah, I bought it hook, line, and sinker, Ralph. So that was the weirdness.
Wow. From what age to what age were you in like?
I was in it. I was in it until like I was born into it, and then in it till like I was probably 15. I was just a troublemaker, and then I knew that the organization had flaws, so I didn't think it was like the law, but I still believe that God and that was the best organization to be involved in. Probably, I was starting to get out, and then I married a girl, and that was the only way I knew how to be a grown up, was how they taught me. So I I started going there hardcore again, and we were trying to be good witnesses. And so that until about 24, I think 24, 25 is when I
me and
realized,
Lex met like when you were like 16, right?
yeah.
Yeah. So
I wish Jehovah's Witnesses were just people who had to go to court every week and testify for God. Like in court.
They'd be like, was that an act of God? What, all insurance claims. They just go in as insurance.
Yeah.
That would be
Yes,
nice.
it would. I'd be part of that organization. But it's cool when I met Sean Taylor is a Mormon. We grew up as a Mormon. And It was amazing to get to talk to him as to how many similarities, and how the organization ran really opened up my brain into looking at cult-like stuff, And then I met there was a cult out here in Thailand. I've met a lot of English-speaking people that were part of this cult that came out here in the 60s or 70s. I think it was called Children of God. And it was just like polyamorous, British-led dude, Christian weird thing. And they just all came out here. A lot of people just love to be polyamorous, Jehovah's Witnesses got none of that. They just like to be in control.
I like to be polyamateurish.
they like to let someone else have control. I think that's what it is.
Oh, that's a good one.
They don't want to be in control.
Yeah, it's a good lack of responsibility.
I'd rather be. What if they stopped being polyamorous all at once and just started being Pollyannish?
Everybody just different forms of Anne.
Yeah, just very innocent. I like that.
Well,
I like that term. That's what Kimmy Schmidt was, Pollyannish.
Pollyannish.
Yeah.
The
This is a weird thought.
Yes.
Okay.
Hit me with it.
Because we're all right. We're talking about religions a little bit, and there's a big part of the U.S. that thinks that they're being persecuted because of their religion, and Christians think they're being persecuted against, but also there are other religions that are being persecuted against. And I don't know, Christians don't like homosexual people. So it's like, why doesn't somebody start like a homosexual religion? And then when people get mad at them, it's just like, hey, this is our religion. You can't get mad at us.
They did it with drugs. They've literally gotten away with that. There's a church upstate New York that I think is run by Alex Gray, who's a fantastic artist, and his wife, who I believe is an artist as well. And they got, they became church, and one of their ceremonies involves like psychedelics.
Oh.
And so they have legal, and there's a Christian church out in like New Mexico that uses ayahuasca. It's like the only religion in America that allows you to use ayahuasca in a ceremony.
Ah.
There's also like some that do like the peyote and stuff. So if you could do drugs, I'm sure you can fuck somebody in the ass, and more than that, and more than that. I don't want to minimize it to just one sexual act.
Yeah,
I would like to start my own religion, and I get to do rituals every week. There's church, but it's just an excuse for me to do very messy. Like I just pour molasses and like flour and honey everywhere, and I just make a big mess. And I'm like, this is our ritual.
What would your God look like?
Innocent destruction.
What would my God look
what
like?
Would do?
Yeah, that there's Christians have Jesus.
Like, probably like a very sober picture of Sammy Davis Jr.
I've got to get a good picture of a God. This could be for a religion that we start. Ready? Our God is a squid, and that's the body. But then the head is an octopus.
What?
Yeah, squid body, octopus head.
So wild. That's like that's like Helen Hunt's body and Jodie Foster's head.
Yeah.
Just confused. It actually makes things more confusing. You're like, it looks right, but it's wrong. I know it's wrong.
Yeah.
BZ Douglas says he has a crazy story about the Alex Gray Church.
Tell him to come on and tell us.
Yeah.
That'd be nice.
His
artwork is fantastic. If nobody knows it, they should look it up. And if you've ever done some kind of psychedelics, especially I think DMT, that's a very interesting representation of that world.
Their philosophy is really, it's
I had an
kind of
experience
cool,
when I was
but
in
it's
Joshua
weird.
Tree doing mushrooms with my girlfriend at the time, and we went there with the intent to find our.
You are on a delay.
I am. I'm sorry.
No. I think he just paused.
I paused because Jason was talking.
Yeah.
I thought
No,
maybe
he's on a delay. I said that like 5 minutes ago.
I'll
All
just
right,
be quiet.
I'm
You
waiting
guys take
for-
the conversation.
I'm waiting for Lex.
So am I. That's why I stopped.
Get to the chopper.
Okay, I'm going to bring in Brian. Or I'm going to bring in
Wait.
BZ.
You don't have to wait for me.
Hey.
Oh,
What's up, guys?
Do I have audio?
yeah, you do.
Yeah.
Because I didn't set up any of my fancy shit. I'm busy getting ready for the. Oh, what's that?
That's your Facebook. Turn off the audio on your Facebook.
No, we've got two Ralphs. I think it's because
Oh, damn.
Mute a Ralph.
yeah.
There we go.
All right. New angle.
Screaming over here.
Have I caught up yet?
All right.
BZ, what's this story?
So I had a friend of mine coming to visit from Pittsburgh, and it was just a sort of like, hey, you're in New York and you never really come here. Let's just, the best thing I always thought for New York is like, don't have plans. Let's just walk around. And so we went on this, it's really fuzzy. I didn't plan to tell this story. I'd have kind of gone back and found some recollection, but I remember we bumped into this random woman on the train. She had like a sword, we noticed.
Yeah.
And TJ is into weapons. That was his big thing. He loved guns and knives and swords. And so we just, we took note of her. Like, oh, there's a woman with a sword.
Yeah.
And then we went and we got off the train. We walked around for a while. And then we were, I think, around where the Continental is. Like, is that like Union Square-ish? And we saw her again. And this might be backwards. Like we saw her on the street and then we saw her on the train a couple hours later. So anyway, we just had to like come up and be like, hey, we saw you twice and you have a sword and that's awesome. And TJ loves swords. And she was super like friendly and not creeped out by it. She just took it as like, hey, we're just two guys who thought it was a crazy New York thing. It's a person walk around with a sword and then you see him twice. And she was just super cool with it. And she was like, you guys want to like hang out? Like I hang out at this place where it's just a lot of cool people that get together and, they talk about deep stuff. And it was very vague and it sounded like, oh, we're just going to go hang out with some, chill out with a bunch of people in a cool place. And then we get there and we had to get wristbands and they like took our information. And then they said, oh, it's in here. Come in this room. And then everyone's sitting in rows and we were taken up to the front. Like, oh, we were super late. But for whatever reason, there were spaces available at the front. Like, you go on up here, go up to the front. And I just leaned over the TJ, after it started, because it was just people got up and, they talked about things that were good. None of it was, as I took it in, I'm like, this is bad. But I did lean over to TJ at one point and I'm like, we got tricked into church. And later I did find out that there was
a horrible feeling.
A friend of mine from the open mic scene. He's like a drummer and a really cool guy. he hangs out at Cosm, the Church of the Sacred Mirrors, I think it is, all the time. And he knows Alex and his wife. And he's like, no, they're great. It does have the culty vibes. And to wander into it, though, and be sort of like tricked, it felt like, is this the modality of the cult? Have the hot ladies walk around and be friendly with guys and tell them come hang out, and then they're at church?
Yeah.
So I think that's the gist of the story. I know there's a lot of other weirdness about it, and I wrote something or journaled it because I was just like, I need to remember all the craziness that happened that night. But it was fun. It was a perfect thing for someone to come visit New York and have happen.
Did the group, after the actual official meeting happened, come up and start like talking to you a lot and asking who you are and where you're from and all that stuff?
Oh yeah. That's why I know you were saying like, oh, maybe there's one cult. There's one formula to cults. And sometimes
I was just wondering that meeting that you went to. That's what I was saying. Like that one that you got surprised in being into church. That it's called like love bombing. When you go to a place and then all of a sudden they start greeting you and being like, oh my God, you're so awesome. You're like, how'd you find out about us? Oh, you're so cool. It's so fun. You want to do this? Do you want to do that?
Yep.
That's a telltale sign.
They did that same crap. Like I grew up Catholic, but then there was once or twice I went to a retreat that I think was maybe a little more sort of Protestant-y or something, evangelical tingy, but it was very like, let's get everyone to open up and and connect. And, one of the things I've studied this stuff a lot, authoritarianism and how in-groups and out-groups form. And one thing about the evangelism, the point of that is not to go door to door and actually get people. The point is that if you do it, it really vests you into it. Yes. Evangelism is about entrenching you. Like, oh, yes, I've been telling everyone to believe this stuff, so I really got to believe it. I mean, I feel like that effect happened to me with like when Occupy happened and I got involved with Occupy and I accidentally like went viral in it and suddenly I had all this attention for it and I felt way more vested. I'm like, oh, I'm like this. I threw down with Occupy and I feel more entrenched in it, but that was free will, at least me coming to that. But that is the same psychological thing.
That's how I feel every time someone looks at my Stoner Morning Show story.
When Beezy just said that moment when it's like, oh, that entrenches you and gets you in it, I felt like turning off the video and leaving this. Oh,
no. Did it creep you out?
It creeped me out, yeah.
Yeah.
Easy. It's funny that you mentioned that experience as like a great visiting New York moment, because I had a friend who visited New York and he had the same comment when he saw beatboxers on the subway. He was like, wow, what a great New York experience. G.E. Gerald is watching and she asks, G.E. says, if you had to pick a cult to join, what would it be? If you had to pick a cult.
Oh, I definitely, of all the cults I've experienced, be Cosm. They look like they're having Cosm, the Alex Gray one, if that's a cult. I just stuck around for that. Everybody I know is cool there.
The cult of sloths. I'd pick that.
I think the idea of being around the cult for me has always been like really depressing. Like,
Ralph, you joined a cult. It was called Improv.
Oh, yeah. Shit. Oh shit! I'm still in it.
I think if I had to join a cult, I would join the circus. I would choose to be somebody who was born into a circus family.
I really do want it. It's my retirement plan is to start my own cult. If this comedy thing doesn't work out, I'm going to definitely start a cult. And I don't mind people knowing it's a cult. They will still join just based on the fact that it's a cult. That's what people do. People love it.
Oh man.
It'll be a cult classic, buddy.
That's what I'll call it. Cult classic.
I missed everything, but I was here for that pun. I was here for that pun, and I'm glad.
Cult classic would be the leader would get up in front of everybody wearing a robe and just be like, "Look, I'm gonna have sex with everybody. Give me all
God
your
is
money.
good. You're God, and
Yeah.
we're gonna fuck soon. So get ready for that.
You
Anybody who
only-
So get
right,
ready
right,
for that.
right.
Anybody
You
who
only-
is not dressed like us, they're a problem.
yeah.
Yep.
You're
yep,
now.
yep.
You're
There's
now.
Punch over in the corner.
Confessions on Thursday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You are now severed from your family. We're your family
Yep.
now.
Nike sponsoring us, and we're getting haircuts on Tuesday.
Yeah. Hey, wash your dishes when you're done with them. That's also do that.
Look under your seats.
Practical
Everybody
culture.
gets a jumpsuit.
Oh,
What
wow.
color though? What color?
I say blue shirt, blue zip up jumps like jumpsuits with a yellow shirt. That'd
See,
be nice.
you're not going cult classic enough because there has to be different colors for different levels.
Oh,
Oh,
wow.
fair enough.
Signifiers.
Yeah. Like Patreon. I get it.
And so then we need the paradigm that you can move up.
Mm.
Yeah.
Some kind of ascension. Yeah, we need some ascension.
Ah,
And
Oh.
ultimate truth. Ultimate
Ooh.
truth. Sure, those are earthly truths. We need some ultimate truths.
Yeah.
Vanguard. We need a vanguard.
J.E. Gerald just said improv, you can't kill yourself because the poison is imaginary. If J.E.
That's true.
Gerald wants to come on, send us a message. We'll send you the link. And Samantha
Yeah.
says, hey.
I gotta bounce, guys, but I do want to plug
Thanks for joining.
for Sean. I want to plug that Sean is coming on to the 48-hour music festival. I'm gonna be on. I think you're on at like what 10:30.
10:30, you're on at 9, I think.
I'm on at 9. Yeah, that's what I'm doing. I am transforming our live streaming area and doing sound checks all day. So
And when is that? That's
Tonight.
9
Today?
o'clock. Yeah, it'll be at the 48-hour music festival page. They'll be posting everyone instead of them doing like the thon where everyone dials into the same stream. It's like they coordinate. Okay, everybody plan to go live, and when you go live, we'll promote it. So it's still quite a feat to pull off, but they technically they do it differently than you guys pulled it off.
Yeah.
But it's no less difficult and pretty great stuff. Always a good stuff. And it's 1 year anniversary. They've been doing this for like over a year, and they raised $20,000, over 20,000 for all these great local orgs.
wow. They know how to
very
do it.
I think, I'm not positive, but I think I'm the only comedian during this 48-hour music.
She has tried, and you know what? I mean, comics, I'm sorry, you guys to me are like, you're my kind of comics. A lot of comics I've known are just like, they're cold fish or they're cagey, and I don't know. I don't mesh with them as well. You guys are great. And Sean, I think you mesh well with like the energy and the vibe, and you had a great, I loved bringing you into the open mic we had for the last one. So Meg, really happy to have you.
That was my audition for tonight. That was what got me in the door.
good man.
Yeah.
Good dude.
But I'm going to.
Well, I hope it goes well tonight.
Yeah. I'm not telling jokes. I'm doing live prank phone calls, but I'm only pranking people who send me their number and want to be pranked.
I love it. All right, man. Well,
Yeah.
I look forward to your set. Thank you guys. Thank you, Starter Morning Show. Always enjoy my Saturday morning hanging out with y'all. Oh, I wanted to tell you, I can drop a little like religion thing. This is a really cool book. You want to get into some trippy stuff? It's called The Alphabet versus the Goddess.
Yeah.
And it's written by a neurosurgeon who he basically was studying. He had this thesis that the way you read like alphabetic literacy, our English language and many languages, it will hypertrophy a part of your brain that is very patriarchal and all these things. And so he did this survey of religions, going back through religions I never even heard of, like all over the place. But even, the big three, Judaism and Christianity and whatever. And he basically tries to apply.
The three was Islam. The third was Islam.
Islam. I'm not. It's too early for me to be accurate. But he just tries to apply this theory that wherever when alphabetic literacy rose, you'd see these religions go to become very patriarchal because of the way like, brains would get manipulated, because it's a very different form of communication. Like what we're doing right now, you got to listen to the sound of my voice. You got to take in everything. We can immediately stop each other when there's a point of contradiction or confusion and things like that. But the written word, like for people who were illiterate to a degree, it was like magic. And so it held this power. But it's such a cool book. I love anyone who's like into like the history of religion. The Alphabet versus the Goddess by Leonard Schlein.
Wow.
And he has another book called Art and Physics that's all about like looking at like there were historical parallels and breakthroughs of perceptions of art and understandings of physics. Like, and it kind of plays with collective consciousness and looks at it like a scientific level. Guys, it's just a fascinating book, but it came.
I love stuff like that. Thank you. That's awesome.
I love hearing people talk about the smart stuff that they've read. I love it.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
this one will knock your ass. I'm planning on doing a YouTube video about it. It's called The Little Book of Life After Death by Gustav Fechner. And he's like a him trying to scientifically describe his idea of what souls and spirituality are and collective consciousness. It's really cool. And it's dense and it's hard to break down, but I've given it to people after like someone died in their family and they're like, this really helped me.
Wow.
Are you in any book clubs, BZ?
I think I'm going to start one. Actually,
You should.
Told an author who I interviewed, who I think everyone needs to read his book. He's an investigator. He did this book called Blue Mafia. And I said, hey, I know a lot of people who want to read this on my recommendation, but they're like, I can only do audiobooks. And he hasn't gotten it published. So I said, can I just do the audiobook for you, like a chapter at a time on my YouTube? Because then I know there are people who will read it. He's like, yes, that'd be great.
That's cool.
So I guess I'll be starting a book club / personal Audible collection.
Nice.
Send me the link, buddy, when you do
right.
it.
Thank you, guys.
See you at 9.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thanks, BZ.
Peace.
All right. Success. First random guest.
Right.
It happened.
And first ever book review.
Maybe. Yeah.
Me and Sean talked about Dune once, but we didn't really review it. We just...
I started listening to the audiobook and I found an audiobook version on YouTube.
Yeah, what do you think?
I couldn't get through it. It got boring.
It was, I had to get through the first like really chapter. I listened to it on YouTube and read along with it because I knew that if I could just get going, then it would, then I would be invested in it. It's like watching a shitty movie to me. I still have to watch the ending.
Well, I know what the story is. I've seen the David Lynch movie, which people say is not a good representation of the book. But the book is really just about a prince who is like, I don't know, his life is hard because he's a prince, kind of. I don't know. That's like, it's not interesting.
No. But I get it. Like I said, I had to muscle through it. I made a commitment to it.
Yeah.
The last real book I read before this because I read a lot of
Wait, so you did finish Dune?
No, I'm like 3/4 of the way through, but I put it down for like the last 3 or 4 weeks. It's been a while.
Yeah.
And it is good, and I'm really into it. He writes like everything already, so it's just tough, that you're like very intricate names and places, and there's a lot of them right off the bat, so you're just like all over the map. But then eventually you start hearing it so much that you start putting those things together along with the storyline that he got you there. I read Man de la Mancha by Cervantes, like Don Quixote? Yeah. Don Quixote, Man de la Mancha. And because that was like considered one of the best books of all time. And it was massive. And it wasn't one book. It was apparently like a whole bunch of like newspapers. Do you guys know that? It was like Cervantes was writing for a newspaper, and he would submit these these like short stories. It's a collection of short stories.
It's a lot of books where I think Melville did the same thing for Moby Dick.
And Ralph, you might be interested in this. He might have been the first because he's writing poetry and stuff. He'd slip in a lot of poetry and different types of writing in that book, and he might have been the first battle rapper, because Cervantes would actually talk shit about other contemporary writers in his book, in the article.
He invented talking shit.
Well, I don't know if he invented talking shit, but he put a rhyme to it, so he might have been the first rap.
Yeah.
There's so many people who claim Muhammad Ali, Cervantes, Shakespeare.
Yeah.
Everyone. There's so many people who claim that they don't claim it, but like there's like different perspectives, and like I think this person might have invented it. This person might have invented it. I'm
Ralph,
sure
I got a question.
Cervantes was serving motherfuckers out there.
I
That's
got
why
a
his name
question
is
for you.
Cervantes. He's out there serving them.
He's serving people. Ralph, I got a question for you because you're into theater way more than me, but maybe Sean gets this too. Is the what's the biggest like conspiracy theory for Shakespeare? There's a handful of them, right?
I'm gonna say this. Number one, it's funny to me that improvisers are always like, yeah, I'm not into theater, or you're more into theater than me. No actor is on stage more than an improviser.
That's a good point.
Improvisers are always on stage in front of people. Actors are only on stage, like, unless you're the most famous, you're almost never on stage because you can't get a job. I don't know. The biggest thing I've heard is that Shakespeare, people debate. It's weird because people are like, Shakespeare wasn't Shakespeare. Somebody else was Shakespeare. And it's like, well, that guy who wrote, whoever the other person was that wrote him was Shakespeare. So Shakespeare, I don't know. I never understand that. Like, whoever wrote these plays is Shakespeare. I don't care who it is.
Yeah.
There's always like it wasn't Shakespeare. The prince actually wrote them. And it's like, okay, well, that guy was Shakespeare. What's going on? That's the big one that I hear. There's also
I heard one that he had surgery on his butt and they had to put that big thing around his neck so he wouldn't chew on it.
Perfect.
Sean, do you have any Shakespeare conspiracy theories?
Do I?
Yeah. Have you ever heard of any of them?
He never went to the moon.
But the footage, you've seen the video. You've seen the video.
I do have a Don Quixote story though.
Oh,
go ahead.
But it's that it's like two stories in one. So when I was, I think, in like 7th grade for Christmas, my grandmother gave me a comic book version of Connecticut Yankee and King Arthur's Court. And around that same time in school, the teacher was like, you can do a book report about any book you want to read. And so I was like, all right, well, I'm going to read Connecticut Yankee and King Arthur's Court, not telling him that I was just going to read the comic book version. And he was so impressed that I picked such a large book, and I got an A+. All I did
just
was
by picking the book?
Just by, what's that?
Just by picking the book?
No. My report got an A+, but I just read the comic book. So I was like, what a great scam, and I got away with it. And so the next time the teacher presented that, it's like, you can do a book report on anything. I was like, I'm going to do Don Quixote because we had on VHS a copy of Man of La Mancha, that musical. So I did a report on the movie, but I got caught because the very last line of the book report was, and the songs were good too.
Oh, no. No. You did that on purpose? Are you doing a bit? You're doing a bit as a child?
It's actually, so the first story is actually true. The second story is not true, but the first.
No.
It's a good joke, though.
Yeah.
I would like to do a sequel to Man of La Mancha called Man of Le Mans.
And what's it about?
Man of La Mans. This is about a guy who teaches women breathing techniques.
Oh, Lamaze. Oh, yeah.
I said Le Mans because I had a teacher in middle school named Le Mans. And he seemed like somebody who would teach Le Mans.
Samantha is fascinated by the Ferris wheel behind Lex, which we've seen before.
Yeah.
Yes. It's open, and they have a little skate park this week. There's a whole bunch of kids roller skating and a little half pipe.
Yeah.
But I don't think you've seen the video.
How long has
That's-
that Ferris wheel been there? Do you know how long it's been there?
It's been in the last. I know it's been in the last like
5
to
years.
7 years.
Oh,
Maybe
yeah.
it's it's pretty. It's relatively new.
Yeah.
And so they used to have this like open market. They have these like open markets where it's just basically everybody has a stand. It's very simple, like a carnival.
Yeah.
But they've been there for decades and decades, and so certain areas they were so big and so popular they just made them like permanent. Like then they went in with permanent structure and actually invested in restaurants and stuff like that. That's what happened there.
Yeah.
Did
I guarantee you when they announced they were going to build it, some people were like, fuck that.
Yeah, for sure.
Always.
Boo.
Always
For
fuck that
sure.
people whenever anything's going to be built. I'll never forget all the commotion around building the Barclays Center in Brooklyn. It really taught
Right.
me a lesson that people were fighting so hard against it. Like they're taking up people's homes and they're gonna remove. It just those same people are probably people who are like, let's go to the Whitney, let's go to Brooklyn Museum, let's go to blah blah. And it's like every single one of those places, they probably had to change the real estate there. And the people who were originally there were like, no, don't do it.
Yeah.
You know, every single time. And now it's something that the same, those people's replacements love, but they don't want something else they know to be replaced.
Yeah.
And I don't even know if it's right or wrong, actually. I don't know whose side I'm on, but that is a pattern that I noticed that I remember people were so upset about that.
I forgot people were mad at the Barclays Center, but they were. Yeah. You're
I don't
right.
know. When we were really little kids, like I remember everybody talking about the World Trade Center, how ugly it was, and how
What?
yeah, they didn't like the World Trade Center at all. The original like Twin Towers were just so obtuse and blah 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 blah. Yeah, it was a big deal. There's a lot of New Yorkers who hated them.
It's so funny how much history there is around like being on. I don't want to say being on the wrong side of history, but like the thing I always think about. I read this one book about Muhammad Ali, which was a great book. I think it was about his first few fights, but it just talked about how he was not like. We always look at it as like he changed his name and he was this champion for black people. A lot of people didn't like him, and a large percentage of those people were black people. And we don't talk about that. There's always, even recently, what's that?
Have you ever met any person? Have you ever met any person who didn't like him or had the story as to why? Because
I don't think
I
would.
You ever talk to
I don't think I would, because here's the thing. There's albums I remember coming out like 5 years ago, or let's say 9 years ago, 8-9 years ago, right? And I remember people being like, this is stupid, this sucks. And those same people were like, I was always into it. I was always a fan, because now it's considered a classic, and people was like, I was into it from the beginning. Like, there's something about us that doesn't remember those things.
Well, Ralph, I don't think, because I've heard you talk about this before, I don't think you expressed why black people in the 60s didn't like Muhammad Ali.
Oh, they had really good reason, because it was like, whites were in a lot of cases like a very physical threat, a very real threat. There was still lynching, there was still all that stuff, right? And then it's like, boxers are your avatar. And so the best white fighter in the world can't beat the best black fighter in the world. So then white people have to be out like, oh, well, I can kick your ass. You're not better than me. And also, you might have lost money betting on the white fighter or betting on the black fighter who behaved and didn't talk back. And so now it's like any black person you see might represent Muhammad Ali to you, and his arrogance and his outspokenness and his brashness and his pro-blackness.
Do you think it had to added his changing his name, right? The Cassius Clay.
Big time. So now he's not only did he change his name and change his religion, but this is a religion that says white people are the devil and black people are superior. Which I'm all for and I'm all about.
Wait a minute.
You had a
That time.
you had a powerful
I'm
black
joking.
man saying, "I'm not going to fight your wars," and then
Yeah.
he was a like, I mean, if you have one person saying that, then you will have other people saying it. You know what I mean? And it's like,
Yep.
Well, I think there is something to what Ralph also said. Is just like literally, there is this representation of the strongest man in the the most badass fighter in the world,
Yeah,
and
that's what was behind Conor McGregor.
yeah, big time, and any of those guys, and it's like porn and boxing or fighting is the only time you can get really racist, you know, and.
That's really funny.
Right. And so and but that's a big thing. I think is that the fighting thing. When Muhammad Ali said, "I won't," because there was other people who said they wouldn't fight that war, but he's Muhammad, and they had to make an example of him. I really do think that. I mean, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar had a lot of similar things happen, right? But like name change and stuff. But he wasn't in that war, and he was a basketball player. You know, it's 7 foot black basketball player. There ain't going to be a white guy who beats him, you know. But everybody wants to beat the shit out of a boxer, or see him get the shit beat out of him.
Do you
While
think
we're on
Kareem Abdul? Oh, good.
Okay, Ralph.
I was gonna ask, do you think Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's career would have been different if his name was Kareem Abdul-Jabbar?
Yeah, he would have way more advertising.
he would have left basketball and opened up some sort of like ice cream store chain.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Bruce Lee would have been quoted as, instead of "be like water, be like cream."
He can dunk and he can shoot.
Mm-hmm.
Is it now? I feel like I love that speech so much, and I'm scared to perform it because of this whole thing of like, don't do an accent that's not from your culture. I'm like,
what speech?
What? The be like water speech, you know what I mean? Because the way Bruce Lee talks is so beautiful, yes. Like his accent. But like there was this whole thing in improv years ago. It's like, don't do an accent that's not yours. What? I never understood that. So we can't like appreciate and emulate each other's cultures.
Yeah.
What in the world?
Here's like a funny, like frustrating, like you can't win kind of thing situation that would happen to me on stage doing improv. If there were times I never did a lot of characters because I'm just not good at it. I'm usually just like ordinary Sean kind of. But if ever I tried to change the sound of my voice and tried to make my voice sound deeper, after the show, somebody would ask me, "Why were you trying to talk like a black person on stage?"
Oh no,
that's a rough one.
Yeah,
but well, I'll throw this by you on the opposite end because that's very funny, Sean.
Yeah,
sorry, but I remember doing some improv out in California, and one of my teammates was Filipino, and I was trying to do a Korean accent, but I did a Japanese accent because I'm an idiot and I don't know how to do a Korean accent. And so she called me out on stage and I justified it. And then I honestly was really bothered by it, but she calling me out on it. And that was so my fault. I'll say, like, she was totally right. And it probably did make this scene funnier. And the reason why I was hurt was because I recognized my idiocy. So I think that's one of the reasons why. If you could do a killer Jamaican accent, like I've never gotten my balls busted for doing a good Jamaican accent. Blood clap, boy, me not to deal with that. But I don't know how to do Korean. Thank you.
Jason, what were you gonna say before? I'm sorry. I'm sorry that I cut you off.
Oh no! You didn't cut me off. I was just, while we were on the topic of boxing, what do you guys think of the whole Mike Tyson Evander Holyfield thing going to be coming up? The new fight that they're scheduling.
Well, I thought he turned it down. They're doing it.
Did they turn it down? I haven't seen it. Last I looked, it was on.
Go look.
I don't know if I want to see that. They're friends now.
Yeah.
Greatest Super Bowl commercial of all time was when I don't know if you guys remember that Mike Tyson showed up at Evander Holyfield's house, rang the doorbell, he opened it up, and he gave him back the year.
Yeah.
I think. All right, sorry, Sean, go.
There was a UFC fight that I saw a while ago, and I don't remember the guys who were fighting, but the commentators kept on saying these are best friends. They trained together. They're best. Like somebody had to drop out, and the best friend was the only one available, so they had to fight each other. And it was an amazing fight because once in a while they would be just high-fiving each other. They even actually in mid-fight they stopped fighting to hug, and then they squared up again and just started fighting again. And it was like,
and they're throwing punches, right?
Yeah.
That's crazy. I
gotta see that. Do you remember the name of the fight?
No, I don't know, but I think if you just Google UFC best friends fighting, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that's what the Tyson Holyfield fight might be. It might be a kind of love fest, and you know what I mean. And the last one, it was an exhibition fight, so it's not like they were going all out. But Tyson's in great shape still.
Yeah, most definitely.
BZ Douglas is still watching, and he has a lot of great comments. These are old, but he says Ali was the Kaepernick of his time, and he says using his celebrity for activism is valuable. Right now, there are shitheads who are using activism to achieve celebrity, which is, I think, very true. And he said precise impersonation is not stereotyping, and then he gave respect to Lex for respecting criticism. All right, updated.
Oh.
There's so many rules around this. There's so many rules around it, and it's like part of the joke a lot of time is that the person who's doing the impression is ignorant or that they have a limited capacity. But also, it's like that bothers me because a lot of times it's like I'm not a colonizer. It's like white people who feel guilty about looking down at other cultures. They're like, don't make fun of them. It's like I'm poor too. What the fuck? Make fun of whoever I want because to me it's just like we're just neighbors. I'm just making fun of my neighbor. I'm not making fun of somebody that I oppressed. Mm-hmm. Like you guys sort your own stuff out. I'm also not a fan of white people being like I can't. I mean it's weird nowadays, but I'm not into that, man. It's like I want to be able to talk about other culture, and it's also like if
everybody.
If I learn, like, if I move to China and I learn Chinese, I'm going to have a crazy accent and people are going to want to make fun of it. Why wouldn't they?
You know what it is?
I want to hear that.
Especially with that hair, Ralph.
This is a thought that I just recently had, and it came about from a weird thing of noticing. I mean, we all have seen it. People walking around New York, which is a crowded city, trying to get out of people's way. They overcorrect a lot of times. You know what I mean? And then you overcorrect getting out of someone else's way, and then you get into someone else's way. You know what I mean? And I think humans have a weird tendency to overcorrect no matter what they're doing. And so when you tell somebody to stop making fun of some other culture, like they don't do that. They overcorrect and also start hating themselves. You know what I mean?
Can I throw this in? I completely agree with you, Sean. It made me think of this, and it kind of goes back to me being in a cult. But I recognize that I see it in the comedy community because I saw it in Jehovah's Witnesses, which is like there's certain words, trigger words, and stuff like that, which are already programmed for you to know the answer. Mm-hmm. You know, so you already know. It's already been decided for you. You don't have to think about it. Don't talk about X, Y, Z. So when somebody like a cis white male starts talking about something that somebody has already said he has no business to talk about, no matter how nuanced or intelligent it might be, it's complete. It should be. A lot of people might just shut it down right away because they don't have whatever. I think the main reason is they're just lazy and they don't want to look into why one might be wrong and the other is valid.
Or just be okay with not knowing. Like there's a
that's
phrase.
That's the biggest thing. Listen, Ralph, that's how you start a cult. You know everything. That's you give them the answers. Give them the answers.
Good. What is it, Jason?
Cult classic.
Boom. He knows it.
So
That's the
classic.
first rule of Cult Classic. Know everything. That's what we know everything.
Yeah, there's
That's how I'm
not
gonna
like
sell 'em.
there's not room to not. How does everybody know everything already? That's what I'm worried. Like I was like, how does everybody already know? Does everybody already know how they feel about things or what's the right thing? Or I'm always so baffled by that.
Yeah.
Ralph, I think that's beautiful, and that's why you're able to empathize with so many people, because you're trying to find out the real. You're making the decision yourself, so you're being authentic to yourself. That's what we all have to try to do, is just interact in your own little universe, right? And those are the only people that you could influence. And there's going to be a lot of people that you won't be able to influence outside of your spectrum. But inside our own little world, like that's one of the things, we join different groups, you join different rap communities, and you could touch a little bit more people than you could physically ever touch. But you have to just recognize that that's your grasp, right? And how much do you influence? You can only do it by not telling people how to act, but showing people how you act, because they're really reacting. You telling somebody how to act, they're going to react in a whole, no matter what, they're reacting to that, right? So if you project love, they're going to react to love and be a certain way. If you're acting in empathy, people will only be able to react to your empathy. And that allows you to be able to influence people by them making the decision, not you telling them. They'll see what you're doing. And man, somebody should be writing this down. I'm going to start a cult soon. This is good shit.
We're recording,
Jay, did you put it in the ledger? All right, good.
I think we're recording this episode though, so I think.
All right.
Yeah. This leads into a weird thought that I had. I've been watching the MCU movies again just because out of boredom, And I
different multiverse.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I saw the Thor sequel for the first time, which people hate.
Which one? The second one?
The second one, yeah. It was fine. It was all right, But there was a moment. There's a moment when Thor's mom dies, and we see the funeral. And I'm gonna do an impression of an Asgardian telling a visitor what the funeral is. You know what I mean? Because if you were visiting Asgard and like the queen died, you would go to the funeral. Someone would probably tell you what you're gonna see.
All right.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Fair.
All right. So the queen is going to be put on a boat, and she's going to be sent towards the edge of Asgard. And then an archer is going to shoot a flaming arrow, light the boat on fire. And then as the boat reaches the edge of Asgard, more people are going to shoot flaming arrows, but it's not going to hit anything. It's just going to be more arrows filling the air. And then when the boat reaches the end of Asgard, Odin, the king, will stamp his staff on the ground, and the boat will burst into flames. And then the queen's body will turn into sort of like stardust and float up to the sky right before the boat goes over the edge.
Mm. So no flash photography, you're saying?
Yeah, right. Yeah. But that was in the movie. It was like such a ridiculous, like, there are so many like things that were happening that of like now we do this in the funeral.
Sean, I don't appreciate that your Asgardian accent. I think you need to.
I do, yeah. It's funny though, because whenever I try to do an Asgardian accent, I sound New Zealand instead of Australia.
Yeah.
We have a new person who's about to come on, I think.
Fantastic.
I just sent them the link if they're seeing it.
Lex, we have to film something for to make up a short video for Cult Classic. I
like it. I am gonna, you know what I'm gonna do, and you know what, I'll put it out now just to force myself to do it this week. I'm going to do a daily. I'm gonna start a meditation. I'm gonna do a meditation, and anybody who wants to join me, I'll probably go. I don't know if I'll go live with it or I'll just put it on Facebook. But I'm gonna start doing meditations, guided meditations. And I
Yeah.
hope anybody who wants to meditate can come join me.
Who's your ideal guide for your meditation?
Oh, me. That's why I'm doing it. I don't have any me's out there.
Oh shit!
Eventually-
you're doing it.
Yeah, I'm gonna
Oh,
guide.
you're
I'm gonna do a
guiding
guided med. I'm gonna
Lex turned me on to this, but I do like listening to like who is it?
Alan Watts.
Alan
Watts
Watts
is
and
one of my-
Rob
Alan Watts
Doss,
is one-
Rob Doss, and all
Ram
that.
Dass is a great one. Yeah, but one of my favorite
Even
meditations.
Terrence, just listening to Terrence McKenna talk over that weird music is just
Totally fun.
Yeah.
Terrence McKenna has a great 8-minute. I think it's 8 minutes and 11 seconds long. It's called The Message, and that's a really fun thing to listen to. Alan Watts has like a 10.5-minute meditation, this guided meditation about breathing and just being aware. That's really nice.
and in the moment.
And then there's a great one that I just found, which is called Let That Bullshit Go. Type in Let That Bullshit Go meditation.
Oh.
It's like 2.5 minutes of just fuck that shit. Let that
That's what
bullshit
the
go.
person's saying the whole time. Just let that bullshit go.
Yeah, but a lot more peaceful.
Oh no, I want it real. Close
But
your
he,
eyes.
you know,
breathe
you could
deep.
tell it was a white guy, and he said it like that, just like that one time, and I felt really uncomfortable.
No.
Hi, Anya.
Hi,
Well,
Hey.
there's a public safety alert.
Tell it.
Okay, so first of all, I want to note that this is in the same town that Anna Nicole Smith is from. And
oh,
it says, they describe this guy. He's wearing a black hoodie and shorts with a stripe. Wanted in connection with the shooting of a DPS trooper.
oh,
Armed
damn.
and dangerous.
Of a who trooper?
DPS, Department of Public Safety.
Oh. That's in Austin right now?
It's not far away. It's a
Right.
little town where Anna Nicole Smith is from.
I thought the public safety alert was about Anna Nicole Smith. Like she is arisen.
Oh no.
There was a
Stay indoors.
public shooting in Virginia Beach last night, I think.
Yeah.
Wow. Somebody Arden told me that somebody opened fire in the train in New York.
I didn't even hear that. Jeez. We're all excited about it getting normal, but it's going to be more of this stuff. Here's Gabrielle.
It's money. It's money.
Yeah.
People
This is
are-
the new normal, buddy.
No, don't say it with a smile on your face.
Yeah, really.
I love you, Jay.
Hey, how's it going?
Hi, Gabrielle.
Hey, hi, how are you?
Good.
Good morning to
What's
some,
up?
maybe night. Hi.
Thanks,
Were you-
Me.
thanks for
Where are you
coming.
broadcasting from?
I'm from Raleigh, North Carolina.
Oh, I was there
Whoa.
recently.
Whoa.
That's awesome.
I used to live there.
Yeah.
I used to live in Garner.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I passed it a lot. I've been here for like 5 years, and I've gone between Durham and Raleigh and pretty much nowhere else.
Oh.
Asheville, stuff like that.
How about some of those barbecue joints downtown? There's some good
There are the
The
pit is
Pit.
really good.
The
The pit is really good.
yeah.
Yeah.
The pit is
What's that
really
fried
good.
chicken place we went to? That was a really
Oh,
there was a beet, but some of the
Beezy's
beef.
or yeah, Beezy's
Oh,
waffles and
Beasley's
chicken.
chicken and waffles.
That's it. That's
Yeah.
it.
There's better
Fantastic.
places. They do it, but they do it like I feel like it's a little bit bougier than like
Yeah, it is.
Totally
some of
bougie.
the other.
Totally bougie.
Gabrielle, were you big thumbs up on barbecue before moving to Raleigh, or do you feel like being
Oh,
in
I'm
North
from
Carolina-
Ohio. I'd essentially never tasted barbecue before I moved
Oh
to
yeah.
Carolina. Like basically.
You have to be into it more when you're
Yeah.
there. Yeah.
Oh, well, and I'd say like I'm an adamant sweet tea drinker. It might be a problem. Like it
Mm,
might actually be a little bit of a problem.
It's called the sugar foot.
mm.
You're gonna get that sugar foot.
No, oh, don't say that. I did have
Sig-
my doctor was like, "Hey, have you thought about getting the COVID vaccine?" I was like, "Yeah, I've thought about it. Like, what's up?" And he was like, "Well, I think your group's coming up, so like, I think I can make you an appointment." I'm like, "Oh, I thought that I didn't qualify." He goes, "Oh, well, your weight qualifies you." Dope. Cool.
Yeah.
Oh.
Pleasure of an interaction with the
Right.
physician.
Mm.
We actually oddly enough, I know you're talking about improv earlier. We have, I know people that coach improv for doctors on like bedside manner. So
Oh,
they
wow.
know how,
Wow.
That's crazy.
yeah. Yeah. But I hovered to like over the Zoom, open Zoom for a long time because I'm like, why am I joining a random show? But I want to say that I really appreciate what you guys do, specifically with your Instagram. I'm a member of North Carolina Normal. I was actually just doing a ton of work. I'm like sitting here drafting emails. My daughter's playing with chalk. I've got my world's dopest mom shirt on.
Yeah.
And so I just really
I believe
appreciate it. So I was like, I, of course, wanted the chance to say hello.
Gabrielle, I have a question.
Yeah.
Do you identify with Team Koala or Team Sloth, and why?
Oh my gosh. I might need some clarification. I have no clue what you're asking me.
Team
Do
Koala,
you want to
cute,
live with a
cute.
koala,
Oh,
or do you
okay.
want to live with
Okay.
a sloth?
Yeah.
Oh, here's the thing. I'm a little superficial and I'd want to be cuter. So I feel like I'm going to have to go koala.
Oh,
I'd argue
All
that the koalas might get mad because I'm a little more of a sloth mentality.
Oh, sure.
Mm.
Here's
koalas can be fierce though. Sloths are always just like chill and like, yeah, go for it.
But
Yeah.
aesthetically, she's saying, I understand the cleaner lines
Yeah.
on a.
Big old
guess.
cute ears. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
enjoy your chlamydia. Enjoy your chlamydia, Gabrielle, because they're riddled with chlamydia. So
I have-
enjoy.
Yes.
Gabrielle, I have a follow-up question because we were talking about koalas and sloths recently on another episode, and then we were like, what would be a third animal of that would fit in that group?
Oh.
And JQ immediately said tardigrades, which I was just like, that's an insane answer because they're microscopic, and who knows if they're cuddly and chill. We don't even know.
Yeah.
But I'm not against it. I'm saying, but if we were to add a third animal to that list, what would it be?
Ah, that's a good question.
Not to say that tardigrades won't be in there, but I mean,
Thinking for,
Tardigrades remind me of Missy
like-
Elliott's first music video when she was in that puffy
Oh,
black
yeah.
jacket. You know, they look like they're wearing that suit of rubber filled with air.
Yeah.
I've owned a lot of those coats. They're comfortable.
Mhm.
And you don't know what someone's got hiding under there. So it's like it works.
Yeah.
I don't know. I would argue one of those, like, because I'm trying to think of something small, but that also I know like interacts well with others. And I'm thinking about those like monkeys that live at temples where they're like kind of hyper domesticated.
Oh.
And like people come in and out, but they're pretty chill about it, and they like pick up food off the floor and they're just hanging out. I kind of, that would be my guess.
That's not bad.
Yeah.
Can I tell you guys a story in Thailand? I'm in Thailand right now, Gabrielle. And when COVID's around this time last year, or I guess maybe more like May, there's a northern city here that started having monkey wars. They were letting people know there was 3 groups of monkeys because there was less tourism coming through and less tourism feeding the random monkeys hanging out in the street.
Oh no.
These monkeys, they became 3 massive size groupings of monkeys that were fighting over territory throughout the city. And you should not get caught in the middle of a monkey war. It was like
snap
real
their
issue.
fingers and dance.
Yeah,
It's not like that at all. Yeah.
No, all of it was terrifying.
That's it. I'll say whenever COVID started, I saw the articles about sheep in, I think, like Scotland or something, that were like coming from fields and like going back into towns because everyone was at home. But the one I was really worried about was the hogs in Texas. I was really worried about the hog population in Texas, the wild hogs that, like, I think last year and the past couple of years, someone has died from wild hog attacks. And that's the one where, like, unnecessary COVID anxiety. In my long list of things to be worried about, unemployment, people being,
you don't even live in the state.
I don't even live in that state, and I was terrified.
We forget that there's wild boars in the U.S.
Mm-hmm.
Forget.
And they populate really fast. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I forgot that. Oh, I'm sorry, Ralph. Go ahead,
I was
Ralph.
just gonna say we saw a lot driving. We saw a lot of wild boars on the side of the road.
Huh.
You saw a wild boar on the side of the road? Like got hit by
Several.
cars and stuff?
Dead and alive, yeah.
Wow. So you should have been scared, Gabrielle. You were right to be terrified.
Well,
A real
I
problem.
I think I saw somewhere that like, of course, this is something that Texas can do. Is they were like, you could pay to go up in a helicopter and shoot them from the sky, and it was like
Yeah.
a form of population control. I'm not
that's
advocating
totally
for taking a gun into a helicopter. I don't know if that. I don't think that's a great idea. But the people like do your thing. Not going to judge.
Yeah.
But I just thought, I'm like, well, if no one's gathering, if no one's paying to go up and shoot them from the sky, what the hell's going to happen?
Yeah.
But I guess we're
what's
okay.
Scarier, taking a gun into a helicopter, or taking a helicopter into a gun?
Is it a big gun or a tiny helicopter?
Excellent
I don't
question.
know yet.
Ralph
He
is
doesn't know yet.
it's Ralph's a mad scientist, and it's his dream to create a gun big enough to launch a helicopter out of it.
Like, I think like living by the airport now is too loud and terrible. Living by the gun helicopter airport.
Yeah.
Oh, so you live by RDU. All right.
I do. I live under a flight path. All the trees
Yep.
look the opposite way. It's kind
Like I said,
of
if you live by the gun, you fly by the gun.
that would work. No, I feel like I have somewhat was it Goodfellas moments? Yeah, where like Ray Liotta's looking up into the sky for the helicopters. I feel like I hear planes all the freaking time. All the time. And with all the hospitals nearby, there's tons of life flights. I'm seeing helicopters all the time.
I'm back over here.
Wow. It's hard to it's hard to not focus on what's happening when there's two Ralphs here. It's just like so interesting and different. All right, now it feels regular.
Yeah, my computer lost. I had Wi-Fi for a while. Now I'm back on the phone. Sorry. I had a great pun I was gonna do, and I lost it.
Oh. In
That's
some
funny.
ways, that might be better for some members of the audience to tell them that you had a pun and then tell them that you didn't say it.
Yeah, I kept it to myself.
I'm full of anticipation though.
Gabrielle, do you have any questions for us?
Oh my gosh. Well, I did have I do have a couple actually, because I know some of you are probably in New York, and legalization was just pushed there. We have some decrim bills coming. Sorry, all of my questions are usually populated, especially for this platform. But I just want to ask, in terms of encouraging others to be open and comfortable, coming from a state that's a little bit further ahead of us in terms of, I guess, public perception.
Mm-hmm.
We're not far behind. The whole country's there.
Yeah.
But what are your words of encouragement for people about being open and honest about cannabis use and discussing it with other people? Have you come out to your families about what's that conversation like?
I have to come out to my family about not using it. Everyone in my family is
Really?
oh yeah, I don't imbibe, but it's not it's not for any good reason, and everyone in my family is, and I feel like I have to worry about hurting people's feelings. I don't know. I say invite some of my family members around. It'll quickly become normalized.
Loosen everyone up a little bit.
You know, it might be a good way to frame it, especially around where you are, because barbecue is such a big thing, and it is something that some people are told by their doctors not to do it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's still so much part of the culture. There are some people who are just like, I'm not gonna cut down. I'm just gonna eat what I want.
Right.
It's a different kind of thing. It's a little apples and oranges, but you can just be like, it's a personal choice. You know what I mean? Like, you think marijuana is used for these people, but they're allowed to do it. Like, and in barbecue, an overconsumption of that is bad for people, but we're not going to tell them not to do it. So it's just sort of like, I don't know. It's a weird thing to
I think
try.
that's that's a great basic argument.
It's funny. My parents, who are like in their 70s, just recently started using marijuana, mostly edible form and everything. But I mean, I remember hanging out with my mom the first time she had done an edible, and she was like, I don't know why we didn't have this like when you guys were kids. This would have been like made it so much easier as a parent. You know, I'm like able to cope with like everyday like family stress.
Yeah.
Like with this and everything. I think just talking about it and creating a dialogue is gonna make, you know, lessen that. There seems to be like a more of a stigma with like the older generation, like a couple of you know, the generation behind me, my parents and everything. So it's as long as you just keep it going. I'm always stoned. I'm always high. I'm very candid about my use. I'll tell you, I'll smoke hourly every day.
Jason will march.
do edibles.
Jason will march right into a police station and will tell them that he's.
Yep.
Well, I think I think it's part of the dilemma.
I think
work
talking.
I manage a gas station. Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Jay. Go ahead, man. I talk a lot.
I manage a gas station, so I have like the sheriff of the town come in all the time, and I smell like weed. And I might have been outside smoking right before he came in and everything, but you know, it's cool. And if he asks me anything, I'll be like, "Yep, I was."
Right.
I was going to say there's also a pragmaticness to this legalization of weed. So anybody who wants to argue about its usage, like most people recognize that there was propaganda against it, and you could, if you really want to talk about it, you could talk about why it was criminalized and scapegoated in the first place, and then you could also just talk about the pragmaticness of like how it funds, you know, how much of an income boost it is, you know, and how like there's so many other things that are, you know, actually toxic that we're using that like this seems like it's not what it was sold as in a problematic way. And you could point to the companies in the country, I mean the countries in the states that are legalized and how beneficial it is for the entire, that's what I think too. So I mean there's this like moral issue, and it's like, well, now everybody's a hypocrite. You could poke holes in those people if they're really being that. But just as a community base, I think more so now, because the economy is getting hit so bad, that's where a lot of people should be rallying towards, is just financing your local communities and recognizing that the prohibition on this is really going to slow down recovery. Where like, you know, what was it? The prohibition of alcohol in the 1920s. If that didn't happen in the roaring like the Great Depression wouldn't have been that bad, you know. You gotta legalize.
Well, it's interesting that you say that too, because I say, just to piggyback off your point off, I actually don't. So I don't use prohibited products in North Carolina. I do use like CBD and stuff like that. I actually got into cannabis advocacy because I had experience with psilocybin therapy, like specifically for mental health. And after battling depression for forever, it was overnight. And now I'm not on medication or anything like that. And it's like, it's bizarre living the life of a somewhat happy person. Sometimes it's really weird.
No, congratulations. I hope you start recognizing that's a better normal.
Oh yeah, it's been great. But I noticed that I could talk to other parents, specifically and moms. And I noticed that how the effort from often suburban mothers would drive prohibition, or would then pull away from prohibition, and that it was those types of voices that could help to bridge the gap, I guess, because I don't know, I feel like we all need to, because at this point it's like I wouldn't even say it's a moral issue at this point. I'd say it's a justice issue, because we've done a lot of populations in this country a great disservice.
Yes.
But on the flip side of medical issue, where like everyone is struggling right now, and if we can offer individuals relief.
my father was able to break an opioid addiction that was prescribed to him by the VA
Wow.
by using marijuana.
That's a good case study to use. Jeez.
That's a great one.
You know what? You know it's probably not a
I
good
feel
thing.
like there are so many benefits. I'm sorry. I think everyone's.
You're going.
Okay, sorry. I think I had to catch up. I think there's so many arguments for it in whatever angle you want to do that you just have to find what that person's most biggest issue is that they have a problem with, and then you can just have a conversation. But I really think that it's like, I don't believe in supernatural stuff, but I really think that like these kind of, just the idea of legalization of that and the prohibition, like removing the prohibition of psychedelics is really what the world needs right now. It really does that. It really does. I know I sound like a crazy person saying that, but I really think that. And that was based off my last mushroom trip.
World needs now is drugs.
Sweet
drugs.
drugs.
I'll say,
That's
my
the
mom,
kind of world.
when she was battling cancer, in order to fight the pain and regain her appetite, you know, she was very, I wouldn't say for understandable reasons, because we have a lot of addicts in my family, but was super against any drugs at all, any, you know, legal drugs. She bought into all that stuff, that things are illegal. But then, you know, when she got sick, my sisters started making marijuana tea for her, and she never really fessed up or went to, even though she was using it the whole time to make her feel better, but she never really came on board. But my sister was reminded me the other night that when they would give her the tea, she would constantly be like, "Oh, I'm dizzy. And they'd be like, "No, you're high." And she didn't want to embrace the fact that she was high.
You know,
It's hard. There's a lot of guilt.
you know, it'd be
There's a lot
an
of stigma.
it'd be an easy thing to say to people who say to you that they're having trouble accepting the legalization of it. You could just say, well, you wouldn't be saying that if you were stoned right now.
Oh, that's a great one. I've had, because we do like legislator meetings. We go to the General Assembly a lot.
Yeah.
We try to bridge those gaps with an often Republican-led assembly here in North Carolina, and it's just what it is. And we talk about that personal freedom and liberty. But I'm waiting for that day when someone just kind of looks at me and is like, "Are you stoned right now?" Like waiting for that, because we often get that type of pushback of people thinking that like, "Who are you to talk to me, drug user?"
Oh,
And
yeah.
so it doesn't really matter where you're kind of, but yeah, it's an interesting dynamic.
It's one of those things, though. If you always attack it in the political way of just like on the Republican end of it, they're always talking about personal freedoms. You can talk about that, and again, that's why I think money. It's a great angle right now because it is everybody. You know, that's a real problem right now. So
Right.
you don't even have to say that you're a user and just talk about the pragmatic parts of it.
Gabrielle, how can people get in touch with their local chapter
Yes.
of Normal?
So a lot of social media, highly recommend hitting up there. All of the chapters, to my knowledge, do have websites. You can sign up, please volunteer. Even if it's just time, you don't have to go anywhere. I know right now it's been really hard to get people wanting to physically organize and go places. We completely understand that. Usually on the website for your chapter, they'll have some guidance as to how to contact your legislators. Highly recommend doing it. The first couple of times you do it, it's like really scary and intimidating. We've been doing Zoom meetings with legislators, which if I had hesitancy of like joining this Zoom call, that one is like, for people with anxiety, it feels very high stakes, right? To be able to be like, "Hey, I'm here on this Zoom to talk to you about something that's illegal," and it's gonna, it's an uncomfortable thing. Highly recommend doing it. Please get in touch with your Normal chapter or Marijuana Policy Project. I know has a lot of great resources.
Sorry, Gabrielle. Does Normal have like a script? I'm guessing you guys have a script, right? That people, if they're nervous about talking to their senators or local legislation, that they could have in front of them, right?
Yeah. We also have sample emails. So if you don't want to talk to someone in person and you just want to email, that is
the
really
work is
effective.
done.
The work
is done for you.
You physically just need to send it. And if you want to get more involved, if you're particularly outspoken or offended about the state of things, we could always use help down at the GA. But Thank you for asking.
Thank you. Well, thank
Well,
you for.
Yeah.
Hey.
Have you ever thought about in this like script that you provide people? I'm sure some of it is email as well, right? Have you ever thought about putting something on the end of it that was just like, P.S. Have you ever thought about if your hands were feet and your feet were hands?
Oh,
Or
just
something
when we do a lot of like medical citations and study citations in our emails, and then to just close it out with that, I really think could hammer the point home.
Yeah.
For sure. Well, thank you so
Very
much
good.
for having me. I have to hop off and hop back into mom duty, but
Thank you again.
have a
Hey,
wonderful
Gabrielle,
morning.
we're gonna be having a 24-hour
Yes.
charity
Well-
event coming up. We'd love to have you on and talk
Oh.
more with Normal. So
Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate that. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah.
All right.
Talk
Go
to
be a
y'all
mom.
later. Bye.
Bye.
All right.
That was cool, and that's nice. It feels good. It felt nice.
We'll see if we have more guests show up. I have to leave pretty soon because I have to do some work. I have to like.
Yeah, you got to clean up that table behind you.
That's
That's
true.
messier than your last Zoom.
Yeah.
Are you painting? Is that paint?
There's paints and markers. I started this like 2 weeks ago and I just never finished it. It's
yeah,
the Bob Seger album cover, but I messed up on the words a little bit.
Bob Seger.
Yeah.
It looks
beautiful.
great.
It's pretty good. I think if I paint it in, it's gonna screw it up. You know. It
Maybe
looks.
Find out.
do some hints, just like a couple hints of color.
Yeah.
you should do like a
I know.
Gucci pattern over it.
Oh yeah, maybe just do some weird separate print above
Yeah.
it, like a real light. I don't know.
I
You know
feel
what?
like, I feel like everything that we're saying are things that I just am incapable of doing. But I'll try.
What would Bob Seger say about that?
What would Bob Seger do?
He would say life was a lot better in high school. All right. Well, I got to jump off pretty soon, but I'm going to make Jason the host so he can let people in if anybody shows up.
Wow, I got control.
Yeah. But it's great seeing you guys as always.
Yeah, thanks, Sean.
Love you,
Have a
bud.
great rest of the day.
Yeah. Jeez. We've known each other for years and you can't even remember my name, Mom.
Wait a minute.
Because that's what moms would do. Oh, shout out to the Above the Bar podcast. They sent me a T-shirt. Above the Bar.
Yes, and also check out Sean tonight at 10:30 on Facebook Live.
Yeah.
The what?
The musical, the music thing.
Oh yeah.
The non-musical show that I'm going to be doing during the music event, which is great. I'm going to be making funny phone calls to people if they send me their phone numbers. So there's going to be no show if people aren't watching and don't want to participate. So I really
Need.
shot myself in the foot with this one.
I'll be watching, buddy.
Okay, good.
I won't answer your phone call though. No.
That would be funny.
No, yeah.
It might be
Yeah, I
20
think you
minutes
should
of
answer
me
something.
just letting the phone ring. Just like, I don't know. They sent me their phone number and they told me to call. I don't know what's going on.
Oh, they're pranking you.
Yeah. All right.
Oh, that'd be funny. I'd like to see all that.
Either way, it would be a prank call,
That's right.
even if you're the one getting pranked.
Yeah.
I'd like you to call, just prank the audience and do a call, and then it's ringing, and you're like, what's going on? And then finally you show everyone that the cord is disconnected because you're using a landline.
Yeah, they prank the audience. That's a prank of the
Yeah.
audience.
Yeah.
So many angles.
Yeah.
Well, I hope you have a good time with it, Sean.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah. All right. See you guys. I
Have
should
fun.
get going. Yeah. Later.
I have been without weed for the last couple of weeks.
Weeks.
Or 2 weeks. 2 weeks in particular. I had no weed. And this past week, I started dreaming again.
Yeah.
Now, Jason, I'm going to guess, because you smoke as much as me or more, that you...
What? You pranked us.
He's warming up already. But now, so Jason, you don't have dreams, I'm guessing, and Ralph, do you dream often?
I almost never remember my dreams.
I have dreams. I
You
dream.
still have dreams?
Yeah.
Even as much weed as you smoke, you still
Yeah.
have dreams? How
Yeah.
often do you have dreams? I'm fascinated with this.
Regularly. I mean, I won't remember them. Like I'll like shortly after I like wake up, if like I don't write anything down or anything like that. But
And
I
Ralph,
have
you
dreams.
don't have
I
any
remember dreams. I remember like parts of like stuff that happened, but not like whole dreams.
I mean, like science tells me that I'm dreaming, but it's less than once a month that I'll remember a dream.
Yeah.
Mm.
Like I could go 2-3 months without remembering that I dreamed.
Do you guys like? I gotta say, after having a dream, not that it was that great. I was actually a little bit more anxiety ridden of a dream, but like that's a thing that I miss. I want more dreams in my life.
Yeah.
I think so.
All right. That's good.
So I might have to take more breaks. But then you guys, like, do you guys think that dreams are important? How about that?
Yeah.
I'm just gonna keep this dream thing going.
Yeah.
Ralph?
Most definitely.
I feel like I sort of have a weird feeling that God protects me from my dreams because I feel like dreams would freak me out. I don't think I would handle them well. Because dreams can be so bizarre and like I feel like I have the capacity to like really freak myself the hell out with my dreams.
What's the one dream that you can remember? Like, what's the first dream that you can remember when you tell a dream story?
Well, here in Austin, I'm being reminded because when I was a kid, I used to dream because I hate roller coasters. I hate roller coasters. I hate the sensation it gives me, and I hate the visual. Like, and I dreamt I was on a road trip with my dad. And we came to some roads that were just like basically fucking roller coasters, and I was just like, "Holy I don't want to go this way," and we just had to. And I just dreamed that, and I had that dream when I was a little kid, and that dream still carries with me. So coming here to Austin, where it's so hilly, it was just like, holy shit!
Interesting.
This is the dream.
Jason, you got any weird dreams?
I used to have I liked this nightmare, I guess, that I used to have because I like scary stories and all that shit too. So, but I used to have a reoccurring dream where the house or a house that I lived in, it was a 3-story house. It was trying to kill me, and like stuff would happen, like you'd try to walk up the stairs and the handrail would come off and it'd be an arm grabbing you. But I think this is from some movie that I seen when I was like a little kid, and I it's just always.
When I went to therapy years ago, and we talked about dreams for a little bit. And I remember her saying that that's a real common thing about dreams with a house is a representation of your family.
Probably.
And you remind me of a dream that I had at that time because I had a dream where I was on a beach. My house was on a beach and it was like eroding. The bottom was eroding, And I was going through some shit with my family. So that was interesting. But
holy shit.
Isn't that? But the one key she said was like whatever, like there's no massive dream interpretation thing. It's just whatever you think that dream means, So if you're like, I don't know if you could put yourself back at that time, Jason, but that handrailing grabbing you or your house attacking you in some horror thing, what do you think that represents?
I always thought it was because I wake up like in the middle of the night and watch like horror movies and
scary
shit.
movies.
Yeah.
You just thought about it. You thought about it pragmatically. You didn't even think about like the symbolism.
I didn't really.
You're just like,
yeah,
man, I watch too much HBO.
Basically.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Showtime fucks me up at night. That's it.
Too much Cinemax.
I don't know why this is. Yeah, dreams are. There's something I wish I could talk about, but I don't have them at all. And are you like? I feel like if I knew I was gonna dream. I'm surprised that nobody's ever like, I'm scared to go to sleep because I'm scared of my dreams. Because I feel like you're inside them and you can be doing all sorts of things, and I don't know. I haven't had of the dreams I remember. Most of them aren't really scary at all, but I just feel like you could
I've had free falling dreams, all that shit, right? Or flying dreams. Those are cool.
I had a dream once where I fell off. I had a dream that I was falling and I fell off the top bunk bed. So I like that dream, even though it's probably sucked. But you don't like at the time. But I think it's such a trip that I remember that. Jason,
do you guys ever get that as you're falling asleep and you're starting to dream, and you like trip in your dream and you kick the bed or you kick the wall that you're sleeping next to while you're sleeping in the bed?
Well, I definitely had a dream.
Not a dream, as a daydream.
I had a dream where I was peeing in the woods and I was then peeing in my bed. So that there's always that great one, you know.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I don't know. I think I've talked a little bit before in my sleep. You guys know any sleepwalkers? Have you seen any sleepwalkers?
I've seen that. We've watched that chick that's on TikTok that sleepwalks, and she records herself sleepwalking, and it's crazy. Like it might be different to her, but it looks like at some point she's like experiencing like sheer joy, like in what she's doing and everything like that. And it amazes me, you know.
It's wild. That's wild about it. That's real.
I had a sleep talker, but she just talked gibberish, so it didn't even make sense. It wasn't fun. It's like,
Anya
it's like this shit. Okay.
Anya will get up and talk to me in pure Russian, like give me instructions and stuff, and then I never know. Like, I try not to wake her, but I'm always like, hey, you're in bed right now. It's cool. But
Shut the fuck up.
Yeah, I don't want her to be quiet, but I want her to. She's up, and I want her to like realize what's going on, but I don't even know if that's the right thing to do.
I have no clue. No clue.
What if I'm
I say if they're having fun, just let them vibe, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh goodness, it's those realms, man. It's like we were talking.
That would
about
be funny to see if you could ever get that on film.
Oh no, I wouldn't do that. But those realms that we were talking about, like multiverses and stuff. To me, it's like the inside of your mind is already so much going on, man.
And that's another possibility of multiverses. Yes.
You guys ever seen Sybil?
Oh my God, yeah.
How does it that everybody's seen that movie? Have you seen Sybil X?
I think so. What was it about?
It's with
personality disorders.
She has multiple personalities.
Yeah. With the girl from the Romancing the Stone, right? Or
no, it's with Sally Field.
That's
Sally
it.
Field. Yeah.
How's everybody?
You love me. You really love me.
Yeah.
You've never seen that, Ralph?
What?
Sybil?
No, I saw it as a kid. I saw it in high school. In our.
Maybe that's what it was.
Yeah, that's why everybody's seen it. They've probably showed it.
Ralph, did you see Soylent Green?
No.
Oh, they made us watch that one. Jay, you saw Soylent Green, right?
No.
Oh.
I only read about it after in college.
You guys had psychology in high school?
No. I don't think so, no.
I had a psychology and a sociology class in high school.
Interesting. Sociology we had. Was that an elective or that was like a thing that you had to do?
I think it was an elective. But
well, we might have had it. I just elected not to do it.
Where were the electives that you guys were into? You guys like
my favorite elective I took was it was like judge. It was like American law something, but the way that guy taught it, they actually built a judge. His desk was a judge's desk, and they had a witness stand and a stenographer area, and the ultimate final was a trial. We had a trial, and there was like defense. And there was 3 teams of everybody had to be part of something. So it was either there was like witnesses and he was the judge. And it was like 3 different groups of like defendant, the defendant's lawyers, the other lawyers. It's pretty dope. I think it was like a murder or something like that.
The fuck? In high school?
I was one of the lawyers that all I did was study. Yeah, it was cool. Because I heard there was this same elective. There was one other teacher was teaching it, but they didn't have the judge thing. So he was a pretty dope guy. And my team was the only team. I think we were on the defense. I was a defense lawyer, and I was the only out of all his classes. I was the only one who won that year on the defense. And the only thing was based off of me constantly. I knew the rules of being a lawyer. So if people did stuff like I just objected. I was objecting to everything. It was great.
No.
Yeah, it was the worst. It was the worst experience for American law because I just objected to them saying shit, even if it was true or not. I just objection to your argument.
I wish more people would use that in real life.
Objection.
I object to this.
Yeah, objection, Starbucks employee. My name is not spelled that way.
Can I ask each of you, did you have a formative or like epiphany class in high school particularly, where you're like, man, this if I hadn't taken this class or met this teacher, my life would be very different?
Spanish. She was so hot, and I think it flared my loving for the Latin women.
Oh my word!
Oh my
Your
God!
Spanish
right
teacher?
there.
What?
Your Spanish teacher?
Yes.
Wow. Was she from Spain or from Mexico or from where is she from?
She was from Spain. She was like 20 years old though too. And this was like her first like teaching job. So she was like cool with all the students and everything.
You just like white women then. She's from Spain.
Yeah. What?
Then you just like white women if she's from Spain.
No, she was like blonde hair, really tan skin. Like she was.
Yeah, it's a white lady.
Caucasian.
No?
Yeah, sounds Caucasian.
No, she wasn't white.
Like
Was her white? It's Castilian.
if she's from Spain, that girl's
She was
Caucasian.
Castilian.
She's Caucasian.
I actually don't want to pursue this election
all right.
because I feel like
in high school, I had a science teacher. My biology teacher. I had 2 science classes, and one was a biology teacher. She was so cool that I signed up for another science elective the next year, and I really would have probably pursued that a lot more if that elective not enough kids signed up, so they canceled it, and then I ended up getting like a free period. But I remember switching schools, and I went into my chemistry teacher when I switched schools to East Islip. I won. He gave out awards at the end of the class for like best student, most improved student. I won most feeble excuse award and best comedic performance in a science class. And it made me feel like it solidified my funny. And so I was openly looking for being more funny after that. It made me feel good.
Look at that.
And it was cool too. I remember my first, you like this is cool. My first experience with improv, I didn't know what I was doing, right? I didn't know about improv in New York. I was doing a radio show with a mutual friend of me and JQ called Matt McGevner on a radio. We were doing a radio show, and I recognized that if I prepared for the radio show better, it was funnier. So then I wanted to take sketch writing classes or something like that, and I didn't know they had writing classes. Now, this is how much of an idiot I was, because I was coming out of Jehovah's Witness world. So I didn't know about even college, what stuff they taught in colleges and stuff. So I just started buying DVDs of any kind of sketch thing that I could find. And one of them was UCB. And when I found that, I found their website that you could take classes. So I signed up for a class without
Right.
even seeing a show.
Wow.
And I ended up seeing a show before, like the week before the class. I think I saw Zach Woods and Risa Harms and that team at the time in like 2002.
Whoa, this is really early.
Yeah, and they were so nice because I was leaving with another mutual friend of Jason's, Dave Faz, and we were walking to the car, and Zach Woods stopped and talked to me for like 5-10 minutes about like I was just saying I've never seen a show that was awesome. It was one of the funniest things I've ever seen, and he was just so nice and accommodating, nice. But this is also the point. I went to, because you were asking about teachers. My first teacher was John Daly, so I had to take a train to Long Island. From Long Island there, it's like 2 hours in, and the timing was I had like 45 minutes early to kill. So I got to the class early, and I'm sitting there, and John Daly walks in. I'm like 24, 25, I think, and John Daly walks in, and he starts talking to me like he's a student, and he has this baby face and everything. I don't know. I might have been older than him. I don't know, but he had already improv. He got a couple of years on me. And he started talking to me like he was a student for like 20 minutes, dude. Before, and like we walked into the class. He's like, all right, like there's like now 20 other new students of all level 1, UCB level 101. And he bullshitted me for like 20-25 minutes. And then we went in and sat in the class, and he sat down with us in the audience. And then he was like, all right, let's get this going. He started doing the class. And then he just stared at me because he saw my face. Like I was just like agape. I was like, what? He just punked me for 25 minutes. We never talked about that. But it was so, like, in my mind, I thought that was one of the funniest things I ever saw. And it was dope too. When I got on a UCB Harold team, he actually approached me. He was like, I knew from that first class that you were funny, and you were going to do this shit. So that's what made me think that was a teacher that solidified my direction.
Hey guys,
awesome.
you got like 2 minutes left. Do you guys want to plug anything or say anything before we?
Watch Flow State on All Arts TV. Watch Sean on the musical festival, the music festival. What's the name of the festival?
It's a 48-hour musical.
48-hour music festival. Hopefully, there's a link here right now in the thing. If not, we should put one. And then
we'll post it after.
All Arts TV. Flow State is a show. I'm one of the hosts of this docuseries about art in North Brooklyn. I'm super proud of this show. I love it.
It's such a fucking dope show, man. I've been following it. Oh my god, I love it. It's so inspiring to watch.
Yeah.
Oh man, I couldn't be more. I feel so blessed that I'm on the show. I never auditioned. The one thing I auditioned for is like the show I've always wanted to do. So,
Lex, what's going on?
Shows how powerful you are. I'm a big believer in creating things. I'm gonna first promote just my friends Brian Aylward. I mentioned him a couple times, and eventually we'll get him on the show. But he's special dropped. You can find it on Amazon, and it's really worth watching. And then I'm also going to promote myself again, that I'm going to do some form of meditation video this week. So look out for that. And I hope that people give me some feedback as going forward.
I can't wait to see that. That sounds cool.
Fun with Lex. And I'm obviously going to do it on Sonor Morning Show.
All right. I think that's
Hey, Jason, you got anything coming up?
I think we're going to be doing Dope Laughs in 2 weeks. I still got to book some people for that. So if you guys know anybody or have any recommendations, hit me up.
You got any discounts at the gas station?
Yeah.
Promotions?
We got fireballs that are $1, and the 20 milliliter bottle is $1.99. Hit me up. Slide me a DM. I'll let you guys know. Also, we're going to be doing at the end of April. We're going to be doing a lot. We got a lot planned. We're going to be doing a 420 trivia show. And we're also going to be doing a charity
Marathon.
telethon on the 24th and 25th.
A marathon telethon.
So, and that's going to be more. Follow us to find out more about that. Yeah, it is. There we go. We out. Poof.
We love you. Bye.
I don't know how to stop this bitch.
Oh God.
You got it, Jay. You can do it. You can do it, Jay. You can do it.
I have to just turn
Ralph,
off.
I don't know.